This is honestly the best thing ever. This is watermelon juice, strawberries, mint, and lime. Isn't that insane? Nature's candy. Nature's candy. Is this juice to alleviate constipation? That's a great question. In my opinion, I have noticed that green juice, lemon water, alleviates constipation in a way that's more balanced than fruit juicing will. Like any type of juicing, your body needs to be prepared for it if you're gonna do like extended juicing. Like one juice in the morning. I'm tired of Smooth, Move, and Miralax. We are talking all about that, Siobhan. We are talking all about it. So, you know, if you're going to do an extended period of juicing, a lot of fruit juices are not necessarily going to be the wave. But if you're just introducing 1 or 2 juices in the morning, like a lot of people actually, unless they have a juicer, they don't implement large amounts of juice like this, you know. People may get juice out and about, and those come in 16-ounce jars. So that's not a problem. It's more like if you have a juicer and you're getting high volumes of juice in your body should be prepared for a high volume of juice because it's just very cleansing. It's very, very cleansing no matter what type of juice you are having. Anyway, this is my juice for the morning. What are you guys doing? So I'm looking for detox juicing. Can you help me? Of course I can help you. Of course I can help you. I'm buying a juicer today. Honestly, truly, if you want to spend money on anything, I wouldn't spend money on a juicer. If I were starting my journey, right? If I were starting my journey and I had to prioritize my funds, my first thing I'm buying is not a juicer. The first equipment I'm buying, actually nah. I would say the first thing I would buy is spirulina and wheatgrass is the first thing I would buy. And then the second thing I would buy is a blender. That's what I would buy. That's what I would buy. Because with a blender, you can make smoothies. You can technically make juices. You can make seed milks. You can make nut milks. You can make energy soup. You can make blended soups. You can make sauces. I wouldn't spend your money on a juicer. If people are in a money situation, you should be prioritizing quality food. You should be prioritizing minerals, high mineral foods, and you should be prioritizing either a castor oil pack or an enema or something, right? So I've been juicing and I thought I'd be having more bowel movements. That is a great, great statement. Also, there's a monarch butterfly around me. That was my first purchase, Purium and a blender. Thank you, Becca. Purium and a blender is literally where I would begin. Okay, so let's get started. We're talking about constipation, and technically we're going to be talking about other bowel diseases today. So first I'm going to start with laxatives. Okay, a lot of people take Miralax. A lot of people do Smooth Move teas. A lot of people have been put on medication for constipation. I had like a couple recent sessions actually of people who have been on medication for constipation. Now, medication is never going to help, okay? Medication is never going to help you. And unfortunately, they make you think that it will help you, but it will never help you. So with any sort of laxative, what's happening in a laxative, and if you desire to read more about this, the book called Tissue Cleansing and Bowel Management by Bernard Jensen. Becca, you may love that book. I have a free ebook version of it if you desire and haven't read it yet. Tissue Cleansing and Bowel Management by Bernard Jensen has a beautiful breakdown of what's happening in the body when you are constipated. I'm pretty much going to be doing a lot of synopsis of that book here because it's just the knowledge, you know, it's just the knowledge across many teachers. So, with laxatives, the thing about laxatives is all they're doing to get waste out of your body, because that's all that constipation is just waste that is stuck there, okay? Waste is just stuck there. And if you recognize that you are constipated and you're taking laxatives, what laxatives are doing is they are poison that is causing it's causing such an overwhelming amount of toxins in the body that your body has two options, and it does these two things. Your intestines will spasm and they will release, okay? And when your body has a high toxin load in there, your body will just purge and purge and purge and purge and suddenly just start to purge a lot because you poisoned yourself, okay? So whenever the body has a high load of toxins all of a sudden that it realizes it wants to get out, that's when we have some sort of healing crisis, right? That's when we have some sort of crisis in the body, whether it be vomiting all of a sudden or sweating all of a sudden or an allergic reaction all of a sudden or diarrhea all of a sudden. Anything like that is just the body was introduced to a high amount of toxin load that it doesn't want, and it's suddenly trying to purge it out. That's what all of a reaction is. And with laxatives, they usually work very fast because you are poisoning your body into releasing. Does that make sense? Coffee is kind of similar. I'm not going to say coffee's poison. Coffee isn't necessarily introducing a high toxin load to the body to release the bowels, but what coffee is doing, coffee is a stimulant. So in a similar way that a laxative makes your intestines spasm and all of those poisons are just trying to desperately flush out of you, what coffee does is it makes the intestines stimulated and contract and start to push, because coffee is a stimulant. You're stimulating your responses, right? And that's why a lot of people think they need coffee to go to the bathroom, because actually people probably do need coffee to go to the bathroom when they're unhealthy, because they need that external intestinal stimulation in order to release, right? So that's what's happening there. We're just all of that is relying on a ton of external sources. What would you do today if you were me? I've been using Miralax and coffee doesn't even help me go. That is a great question, Siobhan, and let's start there. If I were you today, anyone who's listening, if I were you today and you are and I was constipated, because I'm only going to speak from my personal experience, this is what I would do. I would buy a castor oil pack immediately. I would start to massage my belly right now, today. I would push on it, press on it, move it, massage it, just get motion, and I would massage with castor oil and then do a castor oil pack. I would drink a green smoothie or a blended green soup. I would have green juices, and I would eat some salads if it felt okay in my body. If not, I would eat steamed vegetables. I would stop eating mucus-forming foods. I would stop eating oats. I would stop eating rice. I would stop eating bread. I would stop eating pasta. I would stop eating dairy. That's what I would do right now, and I have full confidence that my constipation would resolve in a week, right? A client actually just hit me up and she was like, I've been doing what you've been saying for literally 4 days, and I'm already noticing my chronic constipation. I don't need Smooth Move tea at night. Is constipation normal when juicing? Good question. That is a great question. So I don't know how far you are on your juicing journey. I think it's so funny. A lot of health people, I was realizing this last night because on my story I was talking about my fitness journey. We're all just like always talking about our journeys. Everyone's always talking about their journey, their health journey, my spiritual journey, my fitness journey, my journey. It's just funny. And two, there's a comedian named Brent Pella who is hilarious. On Instagram, he does a ton of these skits. You know, and I don't know if you guys if you guys end up more and more involved in this health stuff, you get into some circles that are just like the sound healing and the meditation and the breath work and the spiritual enlightenment and the ascension and the plant medicine and all of that is you know, that's where we end up going. And what happens, it's so funny. Brent Pella has this like skit with this girl that he does, and they parody these like retreats, and they just do parodies on a bunch of wellness people when they sit in circles and like share their stories. And it is so funny. They're all like, yeah, in my recent plant medicine ayahuasca retreat journey, I vomited 37 times and I meditated to the point where my soul ascended into the clouds in the sky. It's just funny. It's just so funny. You have to watch it. That's all I have to say. Comedian Brent Pella. I love live comedy. I love comedy shows. He did a show down here in St. Pete and I went, and it's just like funny because I'm in the wellness space, and he's a comedian that his mom grew up as a hippie pretty much, and all of his comedy is around all of us like hippie people. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get back here. I love rice and pasta and potatoes, but I'm gonna get some veggies. Yeah, if you're constipated and you're eating rice, pasta, and potatoes, I would just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's asked me, like, okay, or you just asked me, what would you do? What would you do right now if you were me and you were constipated? If you are chronically constipated and you need to take Miralax and you need Smooth Move and you're still not going to the bathroom, but you're still eating pasta, rice, and potatoes, you have to stop eating pasta, rice, and potatoes. And that just is what it is. It is what it is, and those are the facts of life, and that's just the facts, and I'm not going to dance around that. I'm not going to dance around that because I know how the body works, and I know how all of those gloopy, mucus-forming foods work in the body, and they literally do not allow your waste to freely flow through you. It causes your waste to stick and get stuck and start to coat and harden on the intestinal walls and stagnate there. And a ton of starch like that is not great. It's not great. It starts to settle in the joints. It starts to settle, especially in the knees too. And when I was in Panama, Dr. Adi Slatam was telling me all about how, like, you know, even though white potatoes come from the ground, white potatoes are still starch. And even though, like, plantains, right, we have plantains and there'll be green plantains versus yellow plantains sometimes, and we cook tostones with green plantains. That's an unripe fruit, and the unripe fruit have high amounts of starch in them, and they settle in the lower half of the body, especially in the joints, and they can cause inflammation, right? All of these starchy foods, pasta, rice, bread, gluten, potatoes, unripe plantains was in that category. After being constipated for some time, things are finally moving again with green milk. Every time I go, I feel worse shortly after going to bathroom. Every time I go, I feel worse shortly after going to the bathroom. Why would that be? You're going to the bathroom and you have just released. You have just released, you have just unleashed, you have just stirred up waste, right? Whenever you release toxins, especially if you're starting on green milk and all of these elimination practices, your body is naturally detoxing. Like, just because you guys are, you guys are listening to the content, are following the tools, are starting to implement all these, you are on a detox. Just because you're not like in one of the detox protocols or on a super formal detox protocol, you are detoxing, because the body is naturally going to start detoxing and healing when you even start to slightly make your body's environment in alignment with healing. Your body naturally does it. I'm not doing anything for you. You're doing it all for yourself. Technically, you're not even doing anything. Technically, your body itself is doing everything. You are just creating and cultivating the environment that it's meant to be living in, and it just starts to heal. So that's what's happening. You know, you're releasing and you're stirring up, and you're having waste crust and peel. You're having crusted waste peel off of the intestinal walls, and you are eliminating it. That is going to stir some stuff up and release, you know? Now, don't get this confused by me saying like, oh, it's just a healing reaction and a detox reaction, just keep detoxing through it, because don't get that confused with other people who will tell you detox reactions are losing your hair and your teeth getting cavities and stuff and losing your period. Now, there are a lot of people who tell you that depletion reactions, they say that's just a detox reaction, just keep going right through it and healing right through it. If you notice that you are depleted, you're losing your hair, your nails are not growing and breaking, your teeth are feeling sensitive, your teeth are getting cavities, you're missing your period if you're a lady, you're dropping a ton of weight, and you can't build any muscle or anything, you are depleted. That's very different from a detox symptom or detox reaction that's related to stirring up toxins, something like diarrhea, something like flushing mucus out of the bowels, something like a lot of sweating, something like lightheadedness, or something like rashes on the skin. All those detox reactions, they shouldn't last for a very long time if they happen at all. And with people who are actually on a protocol that we put them through and they prepare their body before they actually dive into deeper, they don't really have those reactions. But you know, everybody's following the content online, so I can't control what y'all are doing. So if you're doing things at a little bit higher level, a little too fast, and you start to notice those types of reactions, those reactions are related to stirring up toxins and stuff, which can easily be remedied with an elimination support like a castor oil pack, an enema, a sauna, dry brushing, exercising. All of those things are just going to make you feel better if you're experiencing detox reactions related to stirring up of toxins. But we're not talking about detox reactions related to depletion because you're being way too extreme with what you're doing and doing like a ton of juice fasting or a ton of fruit fasting and not using leafy greens and doing a ton of water fasting and like whatever that side of the crazy detox world is, where people are just doing extended fasts like that when their body's actually not even nourished enough. That's a different type of detox reaction. Do you see what I'm saying there? Can you talk about your spiritual journey? My journey. Yeah, I can. I will. I'm scared to meditate. I started shaking one time, so I stopped. You know, if you're scared to do something, it probably means that it's the most potent medicine for you, your mind, and your spirit. There is usually something within you that is comfortable and scared to enter a new realm of consciousness, a new enlightenment of consciousness, because it is more comfortable to stay exactly where you are. And there's no reason to be scared of yourself. You know what I'm saying? There's literally no reason to be scared of yourself. If you meditate and you start shaking, it's only medicine. You have not done anything to make you scared. The mind is definitely a scary place. You know, the mind is definitely a scary place, but also think about it. If your mind becomes a scary place for a little bit of time, it can, I guess, be helpful to take you out of it and suddenly distract you by just like either smoking weed and numbing out, which actually smoking weed is used as medicine or it's used as, you know, not medicine. It's either one of those things depending on how you're using it. So if you're using it in a place, if you're using it to numb out because your mind is in a certain place, then obviously that experience is, your intention was that, so the experience is not going to be medicine, versus when you're using it as medicine to go in deeper into the mind as medicine, then your intention is that, and that's what the experience will be, you know. There's no reason to be afraid of yourself, which is crazy, because as someone who's naturally ridiculously anxious, which is so funny, I used to be so anxious as a child. I was so anxious as a child for reasons. And then when I almost died, it's like suddenly all the anxiety disappeared and I had this like crazy gratitude for life. And I kind of like didn't, like having an experience where you're in the hospital hooked up to machines and doctors every single day are kind of telling you like, hey, this has a really high fatality rate and we're just gonna wait and see what we're doing with your body and see how your body does and like wait and see what happens. Like I had fully lost control of my physical body, and that entire journey in the hospital was just my mind. Like I was praying to God, I was journaling, I had priests come in, I had Reiki practitioners come in, I had what are they called? Like a priest is for the Catholic religion, but I had like a Protestant preacher. I had just different preachers and pastors and Reiki people and just like a bunch of volunteers at the hospital. I would just say yes to everybody, because truly, like, if someone's volunteering, no matter what denomination they are, no matter what practice they're doing, no matter what they're bringing to you, everyone's message is collectively the same, as long as like it's not like too dogmatic and aggressive and crazy. Like, everyone's message is the same, and it's just like, believe in the faith that you are taken care of by love itself. You know, love itself is God. And anyways, when I had that experience, like, all of a sudden I just got this crazy gratitude for life, because I fully understood what it was like to just kind of like relinquish control and just like leave everything up to my true faith in myself and in what my path would be. And then I came out of that for like, this anxiety only kind of recently came back in the last like, maybe like a year or so, because I was just moving through life over the last 4 years, just like doing my thing, healing my body, eating good and juicing and this and that. And I had such like a strong purpose in taking care of myself. And then it's just creeped back in. And it's actually made me learn more about the mind being a place where we have to just like go into it deeper in order to get rid of the dark place that it is. You can only come out of the dark place by being in it and coming out of it. You can never get rid of the dark place by just skipping over it and acting as if you're going to be in the light place. Truly. Because then you never know what's in the dark place. And it's not necessarily a dark place. I shouldn't say that. I don't really like the light and dark. But it's just like the place in our mind that is just kind of, you know, that place. All right, let me scroll all the way down, because there's been a lot happening since I started talking. Hi, Katie. Hi. I'm too comfortable, Siobhan, for sure. We all are. What are your thoughts on using meat to rebuild? That's a good question. Someone also DM'd me if I eat eggs and if I consume them raw. Okay. So meat to rebuild. I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's talk more about the bowels and constipation here. I'm depleted with adrenal fatigue. My teeth are so sensitive. Siobhan, you need greens in your body. I can't tell you enough. I'm going to tell you right now, Siobhan, I'm speaking directly to you. I feel your energy and I'm seeing your profile picture and I'm literally speaking to you directly. You need, let me not clap at you. I'm sorry. You need greens in your body. Greens in your body. Greens. Teeth are sensitive. Body is constipated. The solution to both of those things is more greens. What do you think about raw till 4? I love eggs and waffles. I need soup suggestions. Okay, Siobhan, I see where you're at in your journey. So it sounds like, and also thank you so much for being an amazing kind of like case study sounding board right now, so other people can hear the experience. So you love rice, you love potatoes, you love pasta, you love eggs, you love waffles. You are experiencing chronic constipation and you are depleted. Would anyone like to give any more recommendations based on what they've learned on this page at all for someone who likes to eat pasta? Or I've said it throughout this live, if someone would like to recap and test their knowledge. Case study. Someone is presenting, I'm gonna pose this like a medical question, okay? And y'all can type in the comments what the recommendations you think they should do, which I just said out loud, but there you go. So let's recollect. Someone is presenting with chronic constipation, teeth sensitivity, and adrenal fatigue. Oops. They love eating pasta, rice, potatoes, waffles, and eggs. What do they do? First step. Let's see if anyone was listening. What do they do? This is an opportunity for y'all to test your knowledge. I'm not kidding. And test and see if you were listening to everything that I was saying. Cut out the carbs. Yes. Yes, Katie. And I've learned that too. The word carbs confuses people when we put it in carbs like that. Yes, they are all carbs. Potatoes are carbs, pasta's carbs, bread is carbs. All those things are carbs. But what they are more so than carbs is they're glutinous, right? They're mucus forming. They are sticky. They are gloopy in the body. They cause your waist to either completely back up or like come out as like slush, almost like really sticky, like not solid formed, or they make it come out super, super solid and hard, depending on whose body is. So like, I just don't use the word like carbs even when I'm referring to food like that. It's more like the sticky, gloopy, gluten, mucus forming, those types of things. Goopy, yes. All right, let's see what else we have. Samari says adding more greens to the diet. Boom. Why do we add more greens to the diet? What are the reasons? You need more greens in your life. Leave the grains, rice, and dairy alone. You have been listening. Dairy is also an important one. Dairy causes excess mucus in the body. Any sort of excess mucus makes things hard to get out. Any excess mucus creates extra layers that toxins have to fight through, that nutrients have to fight through to get delivered to the systems, that blood has to fight through, that oxygen has to fight through. The more and more mucus layers you have just in the body, because mucus will be formed as a response to inflammation on any tissue of the body. It can be formed on top of the liver, it can be formed on top of the kidneys, it can be formed on top of the random cell in your arm right here. Like extra mucus can just be formed on top of any body tissue as a response to inflammatory food, bad food, chemicals, toxins, medications, all of the above. And the more and more mucus layers you have, the less and less oxygen delivery, blood delivery, nutrient delivery, and toxin removal can happen from that site itself, from that tissue itself. Kathy says cut out all mucus forming foods. Boom. Eliminate pasta, rice, gluten. Apply castor oil while massaging belly. Thank you, Chloe. We did not have anyone say that yet. Castor oil and massaging the belly. Why do we do this? Because we need circulation and we need movement. Anytime you have any sort of stagnation, that is a standstill, that is constipation. All of those words are the same thing. Constipation, stagnation, standstill, stop. All of those are the same. It's caught there. Waste is caught there. So what do we do to combat stagnation? The opposite of stagnation is movement and flow and circulation. So how can we do that manually if we're not able to literally get into our intestines and pull the waste out ourselves, which technically we could with castor oil and enemas, technically, and excess fiber, technically. We could go in there and pull everything out, but you can do it from the outside by stimulating circulation, blood flow, lymph flow through massage and castor oil packs. Castor oil packs massage stomach, cut starches, add greens. Raina, perfect. Movement. Thank you, Leah. I love what's happening here. Alacia, hi, eliminate those cravings by eliminating. Time to stop surrendering to the parasites. Oh, we have a whole nother situation, because when you do have accumulated waste in the body, Alacia knows this very well, right? She has had leaps in, like Alacia was even working with me like 2 years ago, kind of. Year and a half? Something like that. A long time ago. And she was just having these understandings of how the detox process comes together, and elimination was that missing link for her. The supporting elimination, in order for the actual healing process to feel good, is elimination has to be supported. And parasites, fungus, and bad bacteria will thrive in the intestinal tract when there is accumulated waste that they can thrive in. Those organisms like bad environments. Picture how mold grows in a weird environment, right? Picture how fungus grows in a weird environment. I'm just using the word weird because it's fun. Picture like where cockroaches are at, you know what I'm saying? Where those organisms that we can just witness, and rats too, just organisms that we witness in regular life. Just picture that concept of when there is a lot of waste in a location, there are organisms that are drawn to it that are pesky organisms that we necessarily do not desire. And when they start to accumulate and these organisms start to grow in abundance and thrive in abundance, they create an entire ecosystem and an entire village actually that kind of hijacks your body. When your gut has all of these things in it, excess waste with excess fungus growing off that waste, excess parasites feeding off that waste, bad bacteria that is thriving off of that sugar that you're consuming, you're creating an environment that hijacks the whole body. Becca, dark leafy greens like spirulina and wheatgrass switch to less mucus forming grains, quinoa and wild rice. Instead of potatoes, do sweet potatoes. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Becca. Grains like quinoa, wild rice, teff, spelt, amaranth, all of those grains are much less mucus forming in the body. Any grains that you consume should be sprouted grains. They're even less mucus forming in the body. So if you recognize that you're starting your journey and you have a lot of carb cravings, right? That bread craving, the rice craving, the carb cravings, if you can at least get yourself to the grains that are not going to cause that level of gloopiness and stickiness and constipating factors to them, then that will be better. When you add in super nourishing foods, your body will start to crave them and you'll eat less mucus forming foods. It's hard, but you have to cut out the junk. It is hard. And actually, let me tell you guys, let me just get caught up with these comments here. What are the best foods for inflammation? Good question. Foods for inflammation are greens. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, so recently I've been eating like kind of junky. I've been eating junky foods, more junky than normal. I've been eating out more often than normal. I have this vegan sushi spot down here that is fire. I've been eating there. I've been eating out at Ethiopian. I've been eating just out, you know. I haven't been eating a lot of greens lately, and I noticed my bowels were not moving how I liked it. And I'm doing a mucoid plaque cleanse coming up. So because I'm doing a mucoid plaque cleanse, your body cannot at all be constipated. It literally cannot when you do that type of high level cleansing. So I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to guide all these people through a mucoid plaque cleanse with me. I need to get my body in check and I need to prepare my bowels. Like I can't be eating out like that. I literally can't. I literally cannot. Because it's having an effect on my body. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right. There's like a gearing up that the mind kind of has to do when you have to dial in again after you realize what you've been doing. It's like, okay, my body's talking to me and I have to listen, and if I don't listen, it will only get worse, and that's what's happening right now. So that's why we're now on good foods, healing foods. What are the best foods for inflammation? Great question. So in my opinion, it's not necessarily what are the best foods for inflammation. It's more like, what do we cut out? What are we cutting out that is just not going to cause inflammation? Because Haley said this in a group chat recently, which was so amazing. It was like, foods will only be in 3 categories. They're either going to heal you, they're going to maintain you, or they're going to inflame you, is just how I'll say that. So if we have foods in 3 categories, either healing versus neutral versus inflame you, you have to be in a place that's like healing in order to combat inflammation. And then after the inflammation is combated, then you have foods to maintain, right? That's kind of how I see that. So what foods can we take out that are causing inflammation? And then the best foods to even soothe inflammation are things that are going to not inflame the body. And actually a lot doesn't inflame the body. There's a lot of foods that are not inflaming the body. Your arms are looking super toned. Honestly, guys, I'm lucky. I'm definitely lucky that my arms, like even when I'm just like up like this is like a nice natural situation. I do not work out like that right now, right? I do not work out like that right now. This is the muscle memory from years of being an athlete. This is just like what it's ended up being like. And that's why I need to show up now. I need to show up now talking about movement and talking about breathing, because like I can be super healthy and I can eat super healthy, but I don't necessarily feel strong. I was talking about this on my stories. I don't feel strong anymore. I used to feel super strong. I used to feel super fit. I used to feel super like on it, but it's just like that's just how my body naturally is from just like training for 15 years of my life, you know? And eating healthy just isn't going to make you strong. You know, you need to put your muscle and your bones under some combat in order to build resilience and strength and agility and flexibility and like those things that make you feel like actually super good. And so like the food is dialed in for me, which is great, but it's just like there's another level. There's another level to the health situation that is like a necessary component to just feeling good all the time. Like I feel good, but I could feel strong, you know? Thoughts on gastroparesis? I read it's related to vagus nerve damage or weakness. Greens help with this or something else. Gastroparesis is paralysis of the gastric lining, I could say, the intestinal lining. And all that is your muscle tone. The muscle tone of your intestinal lining is not there. So it's just paralysis of the intestinal lining. Like, paralysis just means it's not pushing. It's not naturally doing peristalsis. It's not naturally pushing and releasing waste. They just diagnose people with a bunch of these names, but it's like what is actually happening, right? Paralysis of the intestinal lining, that just means the intestinal lining isn't contracting and isn't having high quality peristalsis or tone, you know? And the reason for any sort of breakdown of the intestinal lining or interference with peristalsis is when the gut lining is weakened. And the gut lining is weakened from medication use, from parasites, from fungus, from overgrowth of bad bacteria, from constant inflammation, from mucus forming and inflammatory foods. So the gut just breaks down, and then what happens? We have a paralysis of the gut lining, which is just lack of peristalsis. To improve the peristalsis, you have to improve the actual tone and quality of the intestinal lining again. And in order to do that, you have to remove all of the things that are contributing to preventing the actual intestinal lining from repairing itself. Your body will naturally restore. And also, yes, it has to do with the nervous system too, because peristalsis is a function that is governed by the autonomic nervous system. Peristalsis is an involuntary motion that we do not actively control, therefore it is governed by the autonomic nervous system. The vagus nerve is very related to that, but it's also not only the vagus nerve, right? If it's the nervous system that's a component too, on top of restoring the actual environment of the intestines like I'm talking about to actually get its quality back, the nervous system relationship is what emotions are we holding on to that's making us constipated and cling on to waste? What emotions are we holding on to that's not allowing our involuntary functions to regulate? What is the fight or flight response that we're in all the time that's not allowing our muscles to relax and perform their natural functions? What is happening with the nervous system that it might not be grounded and not regulated? Maybe we don't have enough minerals on the physical level, but also maybe we're not resting. Maybe we're running from place to place. Maybe letting people to pass. Maybe we need some soothing. some soothing of the mind, some soothing of the body through all the things that I just mentioned. Also, I'm just like messing with my hair because I sliced it all off. I just like cut it all off for the fuck of it, and I don't necessarily like how it looks. I feel like I'm just like lucky that it's curly and can kind of do whatever it wants, and like it's fine, and I don't care too much about what it looks like, but also like I don't think I love what it looks like. It's very uneven. So I hit up my girl Alicia to help me fix my 3 a.m. identity crisis situation where I just cut off my hair. You know, we'd be doing that sometimes. Any suggestions for removing blood clots? Blood clots is another form of stagnation. For anyone listening, this is a great test of your knowledge again. I will answer it too, but how do you think that we prevent stagnation of the blood? What do we do to prevent stagnation of the blood? What are you eating? What are you eating? Yogurt. That's it. A bowl of yogurt. Granola. Beautiful. How do we prevent stagnation of the blood? Let's see what people are saying. Boom. Movement. We love that. My phone is indeed on a tripod. Outside. If y'all saw what I looked like, it's hilarious. Honestly, being an influencer is so hilarious from the outside opinion. I don't even like using that word. Me and Sebastian actually just joke around. We both joke around because it's hilarious. We're like, oh, we're the influencer couple. It's just funny. It's funny. We don't necessarily claim that word, but it's hilarious because like that's what we're called technically. Movement, water, rebounding. Good job, guys. Amazing. Movement, water, rebounding. There are some other things as well. There are some other things. Does anyone know what is going to contribute to stagnation in the blood? What contributes to stagnation in the blood? Dry brushing will always help. Any sort of movement, cayenne, you're correct, David. Any sort of spicy foods can help give some blood circulation and some lymph circulation by heating up the body. So some spices, some herbs and spices, movement, any type of movement, water, of course. All of these are going to help the waters of the body, which are both lymph and blood. Oxygen, amazing. Leah, how do we get oxygen? There are 2 ways to get oxygen into the blood. What are the 2 ways to get oxygen into the blood? I actually love this right now because I love being a teacher. I love being a teacher, not even to y'all, just like I love being a teacher. I was a garden teacher for the longest time. I was a tutor. I was an anatomy tutor. I was a biology tutor for the longest time in college. Like, this is my jam. This is literally my jam. Rashana, yes, you're there. Greens. You said wheatgrass, but greens. Greens bring oxygen to the blood. Taylor, you're correct. Breathing brings oxygen to the blood. Breathing and greens bring oxygen to the blood. Greens also allow red blood cells to strengthen. Greens improve the quality of your blood overall. What else contributes to stagnation in the blood? You should teach again, like host courses. Like host courses, I do host courses. I feel like I do host courses. But what I feel like is what's interesting and I've noticed is people always feel like they need some sort of like certification course or some sort of thing to like learn, but the greatest teacher is doing it on your body. And everybody here who is just like doing it on their body pretty much is becoming the most wise, you know? So like, I don't feel the need to host any sort of like courses, I guess, that are more formal like that, because all of these topics naturally come up when you experience it in your body and then you learn, you know? Okay, so there's a couple things that we're missing. Things that contribute to stagnation in the blood. Yes, high stress, of course. You're so good at it. You're the only NP on this platform that I can actually learn and understand. You didn't convolute things and you're so authentic. I'm not Oh, NP? NP could stand for natural practitioner. I like that. I call myself a natural health practitioner now. I called myself a detox practitioner before for a while, but that doesn't even encompass what I do. Like, it's natural health. It's not just detoxification at all. It's not just detoxification. Before that, like, I was just kind of a health coach. That's before I even started taking on clients. I definitely have gotten a good experience before I even called myself a practitioner. But natural health practitioner is now like the official title that resonates. I was going to do natural medicine practitioner, but honestly, like, it's kind of a flex. Like, it's kind of a flex that I don't have any like naturopathic degrees, even though I kind of want one, but also like, I don't need to spend money and do that. I really don't. Excess protein. Okay. Excess protein, yep, I could see how that stagnates in the blood. I think that would stagnate more in the lymph. Hi, Danielle. Okay, things that are contributing to stagnation in the blood is a lot of oil. A lot of oil can accumulate in the blood, and it accumulates as triglycerides, right? People in the medical system can get tested and can see high triglycerides tested in their blood. That's another thing. Oil, fried foods, excess bullshit saturated fat or trans fat or whatever's over there in the processed food packaging. We're not referring to fat in the form of avocado or nuts or seeds. We're talking about oil and cooked oils and junk fat from processed food. That's one thing that will accumulate in the blood. Another thing that will accumulate in the blood is cholesterol. That contributes to stagnation and accumulation in the blood. Usually blood clots are very closely related to lack of circulation and cholesterol accumulation. How does cholesterol accumulate in the body? Does anybody know? Also, I hope this classroom type of energy right now, honestly, I don't even care. I like the classroom energy right now. So that's the vibes. Fats from avocado is hard for me to digest. Small amounts, Jessica. Small amounts. Small amounts at a time. If you recognize that fats are hard for you to digest, it's probably because you were either fruit cleansing for a long time beforehand, or your digestive strength just wasn't there because of the way you're eating before, or because of a bacterial imbalance. Small amounts. Small amounts. What was the question I just asked? How does cholesterol accumulate in the body? That's what I said. Insulin resistance. I would not say insulin resistance is closely related to the answer that I'm thinking about right now. Overload of fat stored up and slow liver is how cholesterol accumulates. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. How is cholesterol introduced to the body? How does the body get cholesterol? This is an important question. How does the body get cholesterol? Or how does the body end up having cholesterol in it, is how I'll ask the question. Cooked oils and fried foods. Okay, Becca, do you know why? Why do cooked oils and fried foods contribute to excess cholesterol? See, this goes deep. This goes so deep, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I feel like I almost have a superpower of just being able to look inside my body because I do know how deep it goes. And once y'all have it down, like me even asking you, Becca, right? Okay, why do cooked foods and cooked oils contribute to cholesterol? Knowing that answer, you are now a practitioner. You know what I'm saying? It's like once you know that, then that's as deep as you even need to know. clogged arteries. I don't know. Haha. All right. We got it. All right. We have a friend here named Dana who said it. It secretes it. The body secretes it. And mucophilis, you said animal products. The body does not technically get cholesterol from the cholesterol in animal products. That the body does not take on dietary cholesterol in the traditional way that people are marketed to. Okay. So no, but the body does. I'll explain it. Let me see what else people are saying. The liver is congested. Okay. So this is what happens. Our body makes cholesterol itself. Okay. Our body makes cholesterol in response to an acidic environment. Cholesterol is an alkaline molecule. When the body starts to become more and more acidic, the liver creates the body's own cholesterol. The liver is a very, very protective organ because it processes a lot of toxins. It has a relationship to regulating estrogen. It has so many metabolic functions. One of them is producing cholesterol, which is an alkaline molecule in response to the acidic environment that's created. So how is an acidic environment created in the body? Cooked oils, excess oil, all the mucus forming foods we've been talking about, animal products in excess will contribute to an acidic condition of the body. So even though there is cholesterol, natural cholesterol produced in the animals, there's dietary cholesterol that's in animal products itself. The human body does not take on that dietary cholesterol in the way that most people think about it in their mind. What happens is excess animal product contributes to an acidic environment of the body, and then us as humans create our own cholesterol response from the liver, which is pumping this alkaline molecule out into the blood to try to neutralize the acidic environment that's just been created from the food and the chemicals and everything that we're taking in. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Don't certain pathogens thrive in an alkaline environment and we want to be a neutral pH? Yeah, the body wants to be slightly alkaline, 7.4 pH. 7 is neutral, so 7.4, slightly alkaline. But the thing is, Jessica, what you need to understand is when the human body has disease, it is acidic. It is acidic. In order to combat acidity, you have to flood the body with high alkalinity in order to bring it back to neutral, okay? So picture this. Let's picture a scale here. Alkaline is at the top and acidic is at the bottom, and neutral is right where my nose is, okay? If we are acidic down here, and we are only putting neutral foods in our body, you could say neutral foods may be something like ancient grains, beans may be neutral, lentils may be neutral. I don't necessarily have a scale of all the neutral foods ingrained into my brain. But if we're only thinking about the concept of neutrality and we're acidic, if we're only flooding our body with things that will potentially bring neutrality, we're kind of just chipping away at this acid state, slow and steady, right? Versus if we're able to flood the body with high alkalinity, which is way up here, you're able to bring the body up into neutral because you're coming from this thing up here, combating this thing down here, and it can pull you up much higher than if you started from the thing if you started with the neutral. Like you're pulling from here versus pulling from here. If that even makes any sense, that's how I'm like visualizing it in my brain, honestly. So we flood the body with high alkaline and that brings us to neutral because most of our bodies are already in the acidic state. That's why there's a spectrum, right? There's such a spectrum. Yes, the body wants to be neutral. Yes, in order to get it back to neutral from being acidic, we need to flood it with things that will cultivate the environment in our body in a very healing way, and alkaline foods will do that, right? That's why there are periods of like cleansing and building, or cleansing and maintaining, or detoxing and maintaining. That's what that is. High alkalinity, and then you can balance with neutral foods. You flood with high alkalinity to get yourself out of the acidic state, and then you balance and build with neutral foods. Like that's exactly what it is. I hope that made sense. Is castor oil good during the sauna? Can you put it mostly anywhere on the body? Ooh, Taylor. Castor oil in the sauna. How would I picture that? I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's bad, but curious if you have nerve rings. Oh my gosh, Becca, my entire constitution is nerve rings. My entire constitution is stress. It's radii solaris plus nerve rings. Those are both the markings for stress, anxiety, tightness in the intestinal tract, constipation in the intestinal tract. That's like my natural state. On the belly. Yeah, so castor oil in the sauna. In my opinion, castor oil is a very thick oil. And the sauna, for me, if I'm like feeling into it a little bit, it could feel one of two ways. Castor oil, because it's thick, may feel a little suffocating on the skin while I'm trying to sweat outwards, because castor oil is trying to penetrate inward versus sweating is coming outward. So that kind of feels like an opposing effect. But then also at the same time, it could feel like the sauna opens up the pores so the absorption would be nice. I literally don't know. Both of those things make sense in my mind, and I think it just depends how you mentally would like feel into it when you try it in your body and how it actually plays out with how your body tries it. Literally either way, you know, is how I'm picturing that. I've never done that. I've been doing valerian root enemas to help my nerve rings. Are yours more of a hypo, deep, or light? Great question. What are my nerve rings like? My nerve rings are not as deep as I thought they would be, but the combination of both of the nerve ring plus radii solaris make my body like embody a lot of nervous system fight or flight stress more often. Like, it's the combination of those two. Like, I feel like if I only had nerve rings with like lacuna, then it wouldn't feel so deep in my body. But because I have both of the stress signs, even though my nerve rings are not as deep as some people that I've seen, the combination of those two markings make me like really like just like hyper fight or flighty. Or like, you guys feel my energy. It's very just like, even when I come on live, I don't necessarily come on live I don't feel very grounded. I feel like very like a lot of information is coming out of me at one time, and like I get exhausted after I like kind of do lives, because like my energy just feels like it's a lot of like spewing information and trying to get as much out as possible, and like using my brain a lot to make sure like I'm articulating the information in a good way. Even though it comes naturally, it's just like a lot of like, my body does feel like on adrenaline when I like either do a group session or go live, and like you'll see in my tone and in my talking and like the way that it feels like I'm kind of like on this like running on adrenaline situation. What are nerve rings? Nerve rings are an iridology marking. So iridology is the study of the iris, where you're able to pretty much get an insight into the internal world, your physical body and your mind as well. Everything is reflected in the iris because it's so directly connected to the nervous system, and your nervous system pretty much communicates whatever's happening deep internally in the body, because nerves innervate every single organ or tissue. So if there's something happening in the body, like in the colon, for example, all of the nerves that innervate the colon, all of them connect back up to the spinal cord, back up to the back of the head, and then the optic nerve is connected to the spinal cord. This is one big nervous system situation, and the iris has pretty much the ends of the ends of the nerves. Sorry, I was going to say nervous system fibers. The ends of the nerves, the iris fibers, are the ends of your nerves. Is my pain on the left side? My friend who just asked about this kidney stuff, I literally can't even. I know nothing about you. I can't even decipher this question. asking your specific situation. I know nothing about you. I've tried castor oil with the heat before and it helps me, like a heating pad. Yeah, any heat is really soothing. Castor oil right after the sauna, that would feel really nice. Oh my gosh, I bet that would feel super nice. I went to the sauna earlier today. It was good. When I sunbathe, I put castor oil on my belly, face, and neck. Okay, I love that. Yeah. Iridology, where do we get that tested? You need an iridologist. I'm an iridologist. It's not something you get tested. Yeah, you need an iridologist. I am an iridologist. And I do iridology analyses for people. If you find a local iridologist in your area, usually they are a natural health practitioner, which you'll have to like search, scour the internet and scour Instagram, potentially, to find somebody. All right. I feel like I might be done. My Instagram timer is giving me 5 more minutes until my entire phone just shuts it down because I've put on boundaries around my screen time. So, does anyone have any more pressing questions? I feel like we talked enough about constipation for the title of this live to literally be about constipation. There's so much more though. Oh my gosh. There's so much more. But it's fine. We can't cover everything in one live. So we touched on constipation enough. We actually touched on the blood a lot too. That was nice. Can anyone remind me what else we talked about today? We talked about detoxification symptoms, constipation, blood stagnation, mucus forming foods. Actually, I want to talk about my spiritual journey. Someone asked me that question earlier. I'm going to end this live talking about that. Also, I would love to hear you guys. If you can maybe put a summary about what's happening in your spiritual journey right now, that would be amazing. I missed so much. Is this live available to rewatch? Oh, I was just summarizing it and you realize you missed so much. Yes, it will be saved on my page, of course. But I don't want my whole Instagram to shut off. Let me talk about my spiritual journey.